Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Open Value Meetup for our second talk this evening. We have Ali Meshkat here. Ali has been into Kotlin for quite some time. You've given many workshops at conferences, at different clients, and you've already also been part of a movement at Rabobank, where you, with others, introduced Kotlin and made stuff happen with Kotlin. And really curious to hear what adventures you had and how everything went and where you are right now. So please take it away.
Yes, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Yeah, exactly that. We are going to talk about how we want to move to Kotlin within Rabobank. Well, Rabobank is a company that likes to experiment and investigate new technology. Well, some will stick and some won't, but that's typical. But Kotlin is definitely one that sticks. I'm going to share with you in coming hour my side of the story that Rabobank wants to move to Kotlin. Yeah, well, I'm Ali Meshkat. To unwind, I like to go to a forest somewhere. And well, if I'm not in a forest, I like to bake to relax and to slow down. I'm an avid Kotlin user. I've been using Kotlin since 2018. So yeah, and I also at that time I also started to teach Kotlin because well, I think the best way to learn something is to explain to other people, and that way, well, you know what you're talking about. I'm with a company called Open Value Rotterdam. Yeah, and I'm a current assignment. I'm at Rabobank. I'm part of the Java Kotlin community, and I will, speak more about that. Oh, that didn't want to go. Okay. Yeah, so let's give you an overview. That's what happens when you edit your slides in a train on your way to here. Things go wrong. Although, to give you some overview of what I'm going to talk about, well, first I will try to give you some context where I'm at. And, well, what is Kotlin? Maybe not everyone knows what Kotlin is, so I thought maybe it's good to spend some slides on that. And, of course, the main thing, the community, how we kickstarted it, and what is our mission, what did we achieve, what did we learn, and that kind of stuff. So, Rabobank is a multinational bank. Well, it is from origin an agricultural bank formed by farmers. It has business in lots of countries, and well, if you're from Netherlands, you know Rabobank. And the mission is grow a better world together. I'm basically I work for a digital platform, and digital platform works on the mobile app. And if you are with Rabobank, you know this overview page. We work with 6 teams on the features within the Bankier app, what they call it. So right. By the way, you can interrupt me at any moment to ask questions. So, really brief, what is Kotlin? Kotlin is a language on JVM, but it's multi-platform. It's developed by JetBrains, also company behind your favorite IDE, IntelliJ. It is a statically typed language. It targets multi-platform. And it's also official language of Android. And I think the development started in 2011, and they released the first version in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. And in 2017, they get really big traction because, well, Google announced that Kotlin is the official language, and well, that makes it really that things happen for Kotlin. So you might think, okay, nice, we have another JVM language. Why should you use Kotlin? Well, I can name a lot of reasons. Well, if you know from languages like Java, referencing a nullable reference, if you call a member on that, that will, well, cause a null pointer exception, and that's something that's common. So Kotlin has created a type system to take away that danger that comes with referencing nullable references. So they're incorporated basically in the type system. I think that's, for me at least, that's the biggest selling point if you want to use Kotlin. And also when you think about immutability, it promotes that. So that's also really great. Well, it is quite concise compared to Java. So Java, well, you have to write some boilerplate, and yeah, it makes your code less readable in some ways. So it also has paradigms like functional and object-oriented. Well, you have like objects, and you have functions that are first-class citizen. So what that means, functions of first-class citizen, means like functions are like classes. If you come from Java, and functions can be passed around to other functions returned, and you don't have to declare them specifically in a class. You can just declare them everywhere, and also you can assign them to variables, and you can also extend. So functions are really first-class citizens. If you want to do some functional programming, that can be handy. Well, something that is quite difficult, maybe in Java you need to use some library, that is asynchronous programming. Well, they are also baked that in the language. So you have coroutines. We saw that in a previous presentation a little bit. But that's a means to do some asynchronous programming and non-blocking, to write some non-blocking code. So that's also a part of the language. So that makes it really great. So you don't need to learn another library to do some, to write some asynchronous code. The compiler is a little bit more helpful. It is, you can call it smart. So there are things like smart casting. So once you checked if the object's from certain type in the next line, well, you don't need to cast it to that type. You just it will understand that it's already been checked and everything is alright. So you can just call the members. So that's kind of great. And I think type inference is nowadays, you have it also in Java, but it's, I think, still on local scope. But the Kotlin, that's all, you can use it everywhere. So that's also kind of nice. What makes Kotlin different than Java is also, for example, it's much better with when you want to extend a different library, for example. You don't need to write a lot of code for that. You just can use extension functions. So that makes it, that way you can also write more expressive code. And they already have some nice extension functions on top of existing libraries, like the collection library we all know. Or you might know if you come from Java, at least. And they also have multi-inheritance with delegates. So that's also something that doesn't come with Java. As I said previously, it's multi-platform. It targets like JVM native, so you can create Android iOS apps. I think that's also most people associate Kotlin with. But you can also write code in browser. I mean, that targets browser. So, well, you can write full stack Kotlin code. So I don't say you should do it, but that's possible. So hold your horses there. Well, if you want to write some nice libraries that are usable and easy to understand, you can create DSLs. Domain specific language, that's what it stands for, and it's great. So you can write really intuitive libraries. Yeah, and of course the tooling support, which comes with JetBrains and IntelliJ. And most of all, it's pragmatic. It's meant to. It is pragmatic because it is also they don't hold to backwards compatibility that's strict. So if some things are obsolete, they don't hold it forever. They will eventually get rid of that feature. But that means well, some things will break eventually. But they have also a nice way of dealing that, so they don't hurt you that hard when you upgrade. Yeah. So as I said, we like at Rabobank we like to use the best tools, and I think Kotlin is also the best tool for the job because well, I'm quite lazy developer. I don't like to type that much. Well, if I want to be able to use features from other languages like Scala, C#, for example. So I think Kotlin incorporates that. They don't reinvent the wheel. Well, you don't necessarily well, have to go to Scala or to other languages if you want to use certain specific features. Because, well, when they designed Kotlin, they take a good look at other modern languages and learn from them. I think especially Scala was one of the most inspiration for Kotlin. And well, as a developer, I think it's important to write readable code that is easier to maintain by other developers. So also should be safe. You shouldn't be afraid that you, well, sometime runtime something can break, and that's also something I like about Kotlin. It's quite safe. It's also one of the in top 4 of one of the most loved languages. So it's not. It has a good reason. That's already been there for like a long time now. So yeah, let's have a look at the famous Fizzbuzz. How does it look like for what does it look like for Kotlin code? Let's click this away. Oh, where's my mouse? So let's have a look at the code. Basically, it's obvious it's a Fizzbuzz, and I think everyone knows Fizzbuzz, but I will explain it a little bit. Yeah, you see here you have a function called main, and that means that's the entry point of your application. Mostly in Java you have to write a class for that, but in Kotlin you can just define a function. Here you define a range of numbers from 1 to 100. You can also do it in steps, but this is the simple variant. And here we will do something with the values that come through, and we will iterate through them. and here we do checks. So there are three conditions, and of course the default condition is this, it's else, and here we check, well, is the number coming from the range, is it divisible by 5 and 3? Then we will return this value, and this Fizzbuzz, and if it's divisible by 5, then it's buzz, and if it's divisible by 3, it's Fizz. Okay, so that eventually you will have a list of that, and we will print that. So that's basically the program. Quite simple. Let's see how fast JetBrains is today. This is a REPL from JetBrains. It's an online compiler, so I don't know how fast it goes. Oh, yeah, there we have. But well, let's focus a little bit more on what's inside of the Fizzbuzz, and you will see it's quite expressive language. You have the when expression, what we call the when. It's similar to a switch, but it's expressive, and if a condition is met, it will return. Well, you have 3 conditions here, and if none of them are met, this will be returned. That's basically the number. And this when returns the well, these strings. And this will be accumulated and printed here. So it's quite concise, and yeah. Usually in Java you have streams and then map and a lot of things, a lot of boilerplate code to achieve that, and well, Kotlin is quite straightforward. So that makes it also easier to understand and easier. Oh, there's a question.
So the map function, that's when with 3 branches that return a string and
Yeah.
1 branch that returns a number.
Yes. But that's all right. It works.
Number to a string?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a good observation.
The type is a string. So this is string.
Then I have to write more code. See if that's.
Well, in that case, it will return a string when it's the one of the first 3, and an integer when it's the else, because it's returning a unit, so it can be anything.
I think it's a stream of any, so it can be both. Indeed, that's correct.
The unit is what the main returns, but not the function inside.
Yes, exactly. The unit is. So this is the return type of the main. We can also leave it out. But the when indeed is of type any, the list that so we can also assign it, and it should be any. But then we have to return it, and I don't like that. We can also say here, for it's hard to type like this. And say the capital. I think this should be returned. Oh. Crash. Ooh.
Maybe this is also something to just try after the presentation. I didn't need to interrupt the flow.
Oh, no worries, no worries. Always good. But yeah, this is basic example. But it's a good observation of you. So, oh, did I miss anything? No, I didn't. All right. So let's talk about what I'm actually here for. It's basically, well, the talk about Kotlin movement, basically. So when I started at Rabobank, it was 3 years ago, and So at that point, one of my goals was, okay, I have to use Kotlin because, well, I really like the language. But at that point, it wasn't possible because of some technicality with the tools we use at Rabobank. One of the security tools that scans the code for vulnerability didn't support that. Basically, that was the conclusion, and we couldn't use that. We couldn't, well, deploy code on production without proper checks. So, but still, I really I like to share knowledge about Kotlin. So, well, I thought, okay, why not give trainings on Kotlin? Doesn't hurt anyone. But with that, I also create a little bit more awareness for Kotlin, but also get in touch with people. So that was also a really nice way of creating some network. So I came in touch with other people that had same ideas, and well, they found out that tooling was upgraded. I think that was maybe a year later than I started. So they found out that the tooling was upgraded and we could use Kotlin in production. So for me, it was like, okay, nice. And they were already converting code. So they had this API. So it was like 1,000 much code they converted in one sprint to Kotlin. So that was basically proving to business, well, we can do it fast. And they also involved like management. So they pitched that idea. So yeah, I came in touch with the people and with the person that actually started that at his team. And well, he was also thinking about forming a community around Kotlin. So obviously I was really interested in that idea. And I thought, okay, well, let's do it. And but well, because Rabobank is quite a big company and you have a lot of communities, and well, we have already a Java community which is established and it has a lot of members. So we thought maybe we can work together on that. So because we share basically the same group of developers, we try to reach out to. So that's where our adventure started. And well, it is kind of weird if you want to say, okay, guys, we want to join your club and let's do it. That didn't work like that. So they come up with a lot of questions. And they were like, okay, asking really difficult questions and topics that all we had to look into. Like, okay, what about security? How secure is Kotlin? What is the performance impact of using Kotlin? So yeah, what does it mean if you what about when you want to roll out Kotlin within Rabobank, and how do we make sure that people don't make mistakes? So what are the pitfalls and are they documented somewhere? So you're like, okay, that's a lot of things we have to manage. So basically, that's, I think, the biggest hurdle you have to go through if you want to introduce something like that at a big organization. You have a lot of things you have to adhere to. And well, what we did is basically we pitched the ideas to different groups of people. Like we had architects, we had management, also business architects, and well, a lot of people that were really interested and they want to know about it. And yeah, that's basically the thing we had to overcome to get our community. You cannot do that alone, and you need to have some people that are also interested in that idea. And and obviously with different skill sets. Because, well, if you ask me to pitch that to a group of managers, I'm not the person that likes to do that, to be honest. So I need to have a person that's really skilled in that communication. So you have to have different type of people in your group. So that was the start of it. So we start having a group, and we start talking with different type of people. Like with performance people, we had to come up with tooling that will scan the projects for performance issues. And same with the security, you have to extend the existing rule sets. And that's only the beginning, right? We haven't achieved nothing yet. And all the time we felt like, okay, this could happen. Oh. Wow. Yeah. No. Oh. Okay. Yeah. But, well, it didn't happen, of course. Otherwise, I wasn't here. Yeah, so we delivered everything they asked us, and we set things in motion. We had to also think about getting budgets for other people to work on things. So that's also something new. Yeah, so I think that the clue is also get management behind you and get them, because they have to sign off things, right? They have to sign off budget and that kind of stuff. Important things. Well, I couldn't think of it when I started this with the other colleague of mine. So basically, along the way, we learned a lot of things about how it works in our organization to introduce a new technology. So it's quite a journey. And eventually, we were managed to reach our community. So now we have to do something. And we had the idea that people were really, positive. They were really helping us out, giving us tips and tricks, and also helping with setting up things. So I think that was also really helpful. And we didn't have a lot of people that were, they were skeptical, but they were doing their jobs, basically. So that's nothing wrong with that. But they didn't really block us because blocking us. So we managed to establish a community. We moved in a bigger community, so that was great. And I think I can say Kotlin is officially supported by Rabobank. Maybe a bold statement, but well, we have people that really want to invest in that, invest in that idea. Also, giving us a means to achieve things. So I think the learnings are really important. Get out of your comfort zone. I think maybe that's a little bit broad, but I think that's the first thing you need to do. Also, make sure that you ask for help, because, well, you cannot do this alone. And you have to look for people that are talented in a way that can help you along the way. And you need to speak out sometimes otherwise you will not you want to steer certain things in a certain directions, and for that you need to speak up. So it's nice that we have this big pool of developers we can reach. What now? What do we do now? I mean, sit back and relax? I don't think so, because that's just the start. We have them. We assure them that they can use Kotlin, but that doesn't mean they are going to do it, because they have other things on their head, right? So after that, we had a kind of group of 4 people, and we thought, okay, what can we do to create more exposure for Kotlin? And I think the idea was, okay, we have to celebrate this, at least that we have this, we have part of the bigger group. So we achieved that, so that's nice. So we had one day event that was all about Kotlin. And we had internal speakers also, but also external speakers. And that way we also learned people that from outside were interested in what we were doing inside Rabobank. So they tried to help us with that. And of course, the next step is, well, we have to train people, right? Because, well, they heard from Kotlin most of the times, but still they will need to learn some basic stuff. So what we did was we came up with a training program to train them basically. So we had an introductory program for people that were just well, starting out with Kotlin, want to get their hands dirty on the syntax and the basic features. And we had also the advanced for people that were already using some Kotlin, but they want to learn how to write idiomatic code. Also important because Kotlin has other way of thinking than when you come from Java. So when you start out from Java using Kotlin, then what they also say you will write Java-ish Kotlin. It's a first step, but it's it also creates some technical debt that you have to fix later. Because in Java, in IntelliJ, you can also generate basically Kotlin code from Java. That's a great feature, but you will create a lot of technical debt. So that's why we want to have also advanced trainings for people that were already using Kotlin and want to use more idiomatic Kotlin. Also, things like asynchronous programming was one of the topics. So what we achieved there was, okay, we had a little bit of community growth. So we had more people that were using Kotlin, or at least starting to experiment with Kotlin. Well, I think we had a highly rated training program, and also a steady increase in Kotlin projects. Yeah, maybe something that we learned, because previous time we didn't have a lot of data to go on. So we had to do things on intuition. And yeah, that's not always the best way of approaching things. And you need to have some feedback loop, right? You need to learn based on facts. So we did that this time. And because of that, we also improved our trainings program. And also something that was challenging is, how do you approach people online? I mean, yeah, it's nice that they are joining, but how are they really engaged and interactive? So that's also some challenge that we were thinking of when we were thinking of the trainings. So we had to come up with a mission. Yeah. Eventually, you have to come up with the idea where you want to go to. Right. I think mission is not hard. We want to increase Kotlin adoption, but in a sustainable way. So we don't want to push all through ourselves. We want to have people also involved. And one of our KPIs was, okay, we want to at least increase the count of Kotlin projects with 5%. Yeah. So now 10% of Kotlin counts 10% of Java projects within Rabobank. Java is still king, let's say it that way. So
Is that within the Netherlands? Or
oh no, absolutely not. It's about Rabobank. So that would be really
I
big.
mean, like Rabobank is international, right?
Oh right. That's a good point. Yeah, we have a lot of departments. I think we try to reach them all, and yeah, it is. I don't know if even because you have different branches, but that's a good question. But I'm not sure if you can even reach them because they have, I think, different banking systems, and yeah. So I think to increase adaptation, you also need to increase the skill level of our engineers. So they get confident using Kotlin. Yeah, that's why we try to offer them a seamless trainings program. So for each entry level. Before we had only for beginners and advanced, but well, we have also a group that we didn't target, that people just starting out, but they have a little bit more experience, so they know the syntax, and so that's basically a new part of the trainings program. And also different way of approaching and getting more people involved is, well, you can call them champions, pollinators, whatever. But basically people that come from different corners of bank that we can attract, of course, and get involved, and so they can help engineers within their own department with their Kotlin journey. Yes.
So is this change mostly driven by developers, or is this also something like solution architects suggest, or can you tell us something about that?
Well, shall I repeat the question? So the question is, okay, is it fully driven by engineers, developers, or are there other expertise involved, right? Something like that, architects. To be honest, I think from my perspective, it should go bottom up. So engineers first, and then well, the other people that are working with, like architects, business, PO, managers. So I think also what we try to achieve within Rabobank is create that engineering culture. So engineers first, basically. And I think managers are really supporting that idea. And well, there's always a discussion with someone from architects, but well, the team decides. Exactly. There are, yeah. But there are still architects that were really interested in Kotlin too. So thanks for the question. So I think, yeah, this is basically the end of this presentation. And well, the big giveaway is in the end we want to our engineers to use the best tool for the job, and that's basically it. In this case, it is Kotlin, of course, but it could be other things, right? It's not only keep you waiting. Yeah, so we want them to help them write software that's safe and maintainable, and also with tools that they love, right? Not something that someone told them to use. It should come from the engineers. So if I pique your interest about this idea, about the way of working within Rabobank, and and you feel like you want to join the cause, for example, Kotlin Movement, well, please scan this QR code and you can find job offerings. Thank you.
Thank you,
What?
Nice things to drink and to eat for you as well.
Yeah.
So really nice to hear how you set up like a grassroots movement and how engineers basically evangelized a new language and how that is being picked up at the moment. And I don't know if there are any questions at that moment. Guido?
Yeah, so my question is, I can see how you can convince developers to go to Kotlin because it's shiny, it's fancy, and things. But can you give an example of you convince a manager, or maybe the most serious one?
Yeah, it's a good question. We come up usually with numbers. So how much code reduction and how fast their time to market? That's usually the case with the pitches. We come with a lot of numbers, and I think, well, job satisfactory is also one of the points. Yeah.
Should management actually be involved in making decisions of using Kotlin over Java? I mean, do they actually know what they're deciding about?
Yeah, I think that's also a fair question. I think not. Not to be blunt regarding managers, but I think well, they have to be informed.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I think that's the main thing. And also, if you inform them in a way that they understand, they can support you. I think in that way they can help you. It's not like they will hold you back. Well, sometimes you need to have more resources, and that's
it's also, I would say, it's not a scientific discussion whether one language is better than the other one.
Yeah.
It's a really nice topic to talk over beers, for instance, especially if it comes to Java versus Kotlin. I mean, you could also make a case that Java is adapting the really cool features of Kotlin really fast with the latest versions that are coming out right now.
Yeah.
So how do you see that? Would you say the business case for Kotlin is getting less strong if you compare it to Java, because Java is evolving quite fast and picking up cool stuff from Kotlin?
Yeah.
How would you respond?
I think it's also a really good question, because you have the Project Loom coming up, because the code release from Kotlin are kind of nice, right? But what they call it?
Fibers.
Yeah, sorry?
Fibers,
yes. Yeah. They have different names, but they are still in development. But that's the thing with Java. There are still a lot of things are still in development and are not fully there. But with Kotlin, you can already use it. And what happens on JVM, you can also use with Kotlin. So you don't lose anything. I think that's the clue. You don't lose anything. You don't have to go back and use Java. You can still go on using Kotlin.
I'm sure we can talk a lot more about this. I don't know if there are any other questions at this moment for Ali. Yes, please.
Just a quick one. What is the adaptation time for someone who knows Java to adopt to using Kotlin?
Yeah, so the question is how fast can someone, like the learning curve for a Java developer to become Kotlin developer? That's a good question. So it depends on developer, of course. So it's really, but I think you can. Well, the thing is with Kotlin, you don't need to learn the whole. You don't need to learn a whole new ecosystem. Like you don't need to learn all the libraries and all the frameworks. You just need to learn the syntax, and that's the big difference. So you can really start out with using everything you know already. Like Spring Boot, you can still use Spring Boot. So that way you can really start out pretty fast. And also something that I didn't mention, so you can move from Kotlin to from Java to Kotlin in steps. So you can start out with real small parts. You don't need to do a big bang. I think that way you can also, yes.
I think that's also a big advantage to mention to POs or managers that don't want to invest the time to redesign. Where like if you pick like an entire new language, you want to redesign all your services, it takes a lot of time because it's a big bang, right? And here you can very gradually go over.
Yeah, you're part of the same ecosystem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Use the same libraries, same IDE, same frameworks.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's also really good point. It's a really good selling point, and I think we do that also in the presentations. So it's really, you can reuse a lot of things, and you just need to learn new language syntax. Yeah.
All right. Let's wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed the meetup just as much as I did. For the people online, hope you enjoyed it there as well. We're gonna have some drinks over here. If you wanna enjoy that, better be here next time. So thank you everybody, and that's it.